Welcome to How to Be a Texan. How you doing, Kevin?
Great. How are you?
I'm good.
It's good to be back in person, I think.
I think so.
Yeah.
Andrew?
I am good as well. I was going to say I'm good too, but that's not good.
It was like there was a period, and then you decided, nope, I'll put a comma there. It was a semicolon.
It was a last second comma.
I never understood where to put the semicolon in a sentence, right?
I don't either.
That was kind of it, though. I am Andrew, semicolon, I am well. I think you can make that work.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I always felt like it.
I have zero confidence in it.
Yeah. I just always felt like if it was getting really long and I had a bunch of commas, I'd just start throwing some semicolons in to
I think so.
Spice it up a little bit.
And now my big deal is if I have a really long sentence and some really complex thoughts that I want to say, Kevin, I'd like to tell you about the following, colon, and then I'll go blah, 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 semicolon, and then I can do 3 of those.
Yeah.
Oh, it's amazing.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. The power of a semicolon.
So, but I mean, you're a blogger now, right?
I
saw your blog post.
I'm doing some of that, yeah.
I promoted it on LinkedIn for
Thank you.
By clicking
so
like.
much.
By clicking like, it immediately went out to my thousands of followers. So
Well, it was fantastic. It was very meaningful.
that was a
Thank
good blog.
you.
It was a good blog.
Yeah, it was too long for you to read, but that's okay. It was really good.
I didn't think it was very long at all. It
Oh,
was
really?
like a one-pager. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was good. It was good. Hey, but we're not talking about semicolons today, right?
Oh, no.
How does a semicolon impact your life as a Texan?
I don't know.
Either I've never asked anybody that question. But hey, today, Kevin,
I'm sure it was invented in Texas.
by Mr. Semi.
Yeah, the rest of the world was just using commas and struggling. And Texas like, we're
Let's-
going to kick it up a notch.
Let's add a super complex,
Yeah.
grammatical thing that nobody understands how to use.
To try to make sense out of our language.
Except attorneys, and they use it wrong, but they're attorneys, so they say that it's right.
Right.
Which always drives me crazy.
Attorneys do weird things. They send back red lines, but
Yeah.
they're usually not red lines. They're usually like yellow highlights.
Yeah,
I mean, how bizarre is that?
Or grammatically incorrect, and I'm correcting an attorney. How bad is that?
That's horrible, man.
Because they overuse commas all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, you don't. Back to 12th grade, Miss Simpson in my English class, you don't use a comma there.
Yeah. I agree, man.
Just saying.
Andrew's just looking at us like we're crazy.
I don't understand all of this attorney humor.
These are the struggles of, contract humor, right? And dealing with legal teams and,
Yeah. And they don't like it when I use dashes just for pause and the effect. They don't like that at all. I like the use of a strategic dash.
Right.
strategic dash.
Right.
Anyway, okay, fine. Hey, today we're not talking about Texas grammar, right?
I don't think so.
But we could.
But there's a lot more.
I could go
Like,
all day with grammar.
Where I work, there's an obsession right now with in presentations you can't use, which is grammatically correct. People like to capitalize every word. Like if you're suddenly in PowerPoint, every word's capitalized.
I correct that all the time.
Yeah.
I have wasted so much of my life uncapitalizing inappropriately capitalized words.
Right. I do that a lot lately.
Just because in a PowerPoint they think, oh, well, it needs to be capitalized for emphasis. I'm like, no, we're still in grammar here. Hello.
Right, exactly. And no periods at the end of these bullet points.
Yeah.
It's just
The thing that
it's
drives
annoying.
me another thing that drives me crazy is the use of IE or over EG. You ever get into that?
Oh, yeah, that makes me mad.
People have no idea.
Yeah, that's true.
No idea.
I'm probably guilty of that one though.
Yeah.
I'm not a big EG guy.
I'm a big EG guy.
I know you are. We've had that talk before.
Yeah. I'm EG over IE. But, hey, to each his
Usually, instead of IE or EG, the responses I get back usually contain like a WTF in front of my sentence. Like, okay, no, I'm sorry. I'll correct it immediately.
Yeah, no, I'm not to emoji responses yet. Thank goodness. I still actually.
LOL. Could you imagine putting an LOL in a contract? You know, like sending it back to the other attorney, like LOL. You got to take that one out.
or a poop icon, like I really don't like this at all. Got so stupid. Anywho, hey, today I thought we'd talk about something a little lighter. Not grammar. I mean, grammar is so boring.
Right.
Golly, wake up, everybody. We're going to talk about our topic now. And so today I thought, hey, we're in the middle of of a pandemic. Can you believe that?
Yes, I can.
It just keeps going.
It keeps going on and on and on.
Putin's got the answer, though, right?
You said he had injected his daughter.
His daughter. That's
Yeah.
right. But the thing that I just read yesterday was that he'd only injected like 40 or 60 people, like total,
Really?
for like their trial.
Injection inside or almost a cleaning.
That's kind of how he's doing it, I think.
What? No. And the worst part is, like on a real trial, like when you're testing something out, you've either got like the live thing, and then you've also got a placebo.
Yeah, and the
okay.
kung flu.
Thank you, President Trump. It's either the thing you're trying to test, and then you've got a placebo right beside it.
Right.
And so if you're going to inject 100,000 with this, you've got 100,000 with the placebo, and you're watching to see what happens.
Right.
In Putin's thing, whatever, he injected like 40 people only with the immunization, no placebos. And it's showing some antibodies.
He's like, yeah, they're looking pretty good to me, so we'll just roll with it.
Just give it to my daughter.
Yeah, well, that's what, yeah. So anyway.
I was talking to a guy that I work with who's a really, really brilliant guy, and he has spent a lot of time like reading scientific journals about this vaccine research.
Right.
And he said, I think we'll have a vaccine like in record time. And I said,
Yeah.
why is that? And he said, because of the gene splicing technology that they have now.
I believe that.
And so and I don't know all the details of it, but he explained it. And he said, I'm very confident that we'll have, something by May of next year.
Okay.
And he said end of this year, like they're talking, probably have something, but definitely
Yeah.
he thinks May of next year it'll be pretty solid.
Oh, that's fantastic.
But-
That makes sense, though.
Yeah. Yeah, just the genetic splicing that they can do. I guess I don't know a lot about it, but I guess in the past it just was kind of random mutations. They were trying to figure out which ones would, kind of help build your immunity of the virus. But now
Right.
they can go in and specifically splice specific patterns of genes together and kind of test that out and kind of expedite the whole process.
That makes
Is my very basic understanding of it.
no, that makes a tremendous amount of sense.
Yeah.
With the computing power that we have today to go and actually dissect the COVID-19 strain itself, and then to figure out how to counteract that.
Yep.
That's amazing.
COVID-19!
Exactly. Wow. Gene splicing.
Yeah. Who
That's
would have thought?
amazing.
It really is amazing.
No, for real. That's amazing. Okay. Well, that's great news, Kevin. Thank you.
There you go.
And hopefully we'll have it before the election.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, no, I think after the election, I'll be gone anyway.
It's all fake
This
news.
is all conspiracy news.
Yeah, November 4th is the deadline for the COVID.
Right,
Yeah.
right. The
Okay.
Vanish will disappear. It was supposed to disappear in April, but it's hanging around a little bit longer.
Yeah, it's supposed to be gone by Easter.
Well, hey,
right.
remember the Spanish flu was what, 3 years?
Yeah.
It was 1918 through 1920
Yeah.
is when the Spanish flu went through the
Yeah.
U.S. Well, the world.
Chinese virus.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, this is a different one, but
Yeah.
that was a Spanish one.
Yeah.
So now it's always got to. Why does a pandemic have to be associated with a country?
Because everybody wants to blame the country.
So we're
which is
blaming-
why most of the world is calling it COVID-19, except for
Chinese virus. Kung flu.
yeah. Now they were
Okay.
trying to intentionally not do that with this one by calling it COVID-19.
Yeah, but we still call it the Spanish flu.
We do. Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah.
all right. Well, there you go. Hey, well, so we've talked about some really important topics here: grammar, coronavirus, and now I'd like to spin into
Genetic splicing
genetic splicing
or gene splicing.
the
Yeah.
use of a semicolon appropriately
Yes.
or not.
Which is almost as difficult as gene splicing.
I think
in my
so.
opinion.
I think well with attorneys especially, and I'm not an attorney, but I should have been because whatever. Anyway, but then I thought another important topic would be
I got hairy legs.
Is that where you're wanting to go?
no. No, I wanted to talk about football.
Oh, okay.
Because it's
Yeah, that's
not
not a thing.
it's not controversial. It's not political. It's football.
Oh, it's not controversial. Come on, hasn't there been some controversy?
What's
here?
controversial about football?
I haven't followed it much, but I thought there was some controversy about the high school football here in Texas.
Well, to be or not to be. I mean,
Yeah.
there's always that,
Yeah,
and there's a lot that are saying we should not,
Yeah.
versus there are a lot that are saying, well, we should.
right.
And sure enough, for the most part, we We are, at least in Texas. We're moving forward with football.
Now, is that at all levels? Because I know for a while, like, we're 4A, right? In
Yeah.
Argyle. Wasn't there something with the 5A or?
Well, 5A,
6A,
5A
moving
and
forward.
6A hadn't even started yet.
Yeah, that's what I was
So
thinking.
it's real interesting. You got the smaller schools, or at least 4A. I don't know about like 6-man and 3 and 2 and whatever.
I don't think that's happening, actually.
Yeah, I can see 6-man, 1, 2, 3. Maybe they just say we're scrapping the 2020 season.
Yeah.
We're not doing that.
Yeah.
6-man, what is this, Canada?
No, out in the
West
Panhandle
Texas,
and
yeah.
all that. There's a ton, and it's really competitive.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to touch the ball 2 times. So, like when in 6-man football, I just read this. It's really interesting. So the center hikes it to the quote quarterback. The quarterback's got to give it to somebody else before they can throw it downfield. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Isn't that fun?
Interesting.
Well, is that because this just would be otherwise just so easy just to
I have no idea.
burn them? Yeah, because there's only 6 guys
I
on
don't
defense
know,
or something.
but I think it's awesome. It reminds
Huh.
me of flag football back in college because we did a ton of that. Like we'd get it, pitch it to somebody else, and then the first quarterback would go out for a pass, and you know, it's super
Yeah.
fun. How fun
we
is
used to
that?
play speed football in off season. It was
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
It was just like continuous play, and that's where I broke my collarbone. It was on speed football.
Oh man,
Yeah,
it's not
it's a
good.
shame. Yeah.
That's a real shame.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to football though, but we've talked about that before. We've already had a whole episode. Matter of fact, we probably talked multiple episodes just about high school football and the impact in Texas. And there's a quote that's really funny, and it goes back to Coach Tom Landry. You remember who Coach Tom Landry was?
Are you serious?
I'm just quitting.
Tom Landry?
Yeah, Tom Landry. You
Yeah,
remember who he was?
Yeah, you remember Vince Lombardi? You ever heard of that guy, Vince Lombardi?
Yeah, but I'm saying, for reference, a lot of our Greenland and Iceland friends probably may not know who Coach Tom Landry
They
is.
may not, but I do. Yeah,
But
I
who-
definitely do.
Who was he?
He was the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys for about 20 years.
And what was he known for?
He was known for a lot of things. What do you mean?
Mainly just his hat. I just liked his hat.
He was known for his hat.
I
He was
just
also known for being very stoic on the sideline, very
Right.
calm. He would wear a suit to every game.
He would.
He was known as being a very classy guy.
Very
He
classy.
invented the fedora, is what I heard.
He
Is that
didn't
correct?
invent the fedora. That's back to Stetson. Let's go back to episode 60 whatever on
Yeah.
our hat.
Well, I heard Tom Landry is actually in the Stetson lineage.
Really?
No,
No, it's not. but
You just gene mutated that over.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I think so.
Yeah,
I think
some
Landry
gene
should be the-
splicing.
But
Yeah.
he and Vince Lombardi. Vince Lombardi's the famous Green Bay Packers head coach. It was like their big rivalry in the 60s, early 70s.
Right.
They were both assistant coaches together at the New York Giants. So
Okay.
Lombardi was the offensive guy. Landry was the defensive guy.
I didn't realize they were
Yeah.
together. Okay.
Yeah, and so they kind of both came from that lineage. And then when they went out, they were constantly building, and they were both geniuses.
Yeah.
Constantly building and innovating new offensive schemes or defensive schemes to beat the other.
I'll be.
So things like the shotgun formation
Yeah.
and a lot of different innovative things. The flex defense.
Right.
The flex defense he had built because Lombardi created this method of running the ball on offense where rather than just going through a specific hole, he had this scheme where he would tell the runner, go to daylight, right? So the quarterback give the ball, you go find the daylight. Well, Landry responded to that by creating the flex defense, which moved a couple of guys back off the line,
Okay.
so they could be more flexible and
To close the
to see
daylight.
where the guy was going, and
Nice.
go there. Yeah,
Nice.
So it's kind of cool how they would go back and forth against each other over
I'll
the
be.
years.
Would Tom
Yeah.
Landry qualify for a Texas Legends?
Absolutely,
episode?
absolutely.
Is he? Was he born? He wasn't born in Texas, right?
I'm pretty sure he was.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
I looked it up one time. I'm pretty sure he was.
but
he
he's in the
was,
Ring of
yeah.
Honor. My goodness. Of course he's got to
Ring
be a
of
Texas
Honor,
legend.
Football Hall of Fame. Yeah, he was born in Mission, Texas.
Even better.
Right.
All right. Sign us up for a future episode
yeah.
there. So anyway, the point of today is I thought that in light of the pandemic, so let me put my postulate or my theory out for the episode once we're way past even introducing it. But regardless, I'm going to introduce
This
the
has
episode.
been a long and winding road.
It's a
15
winding
minutes in.
path.
This is a short one to quote Kyle off air.
Yeah. So the idea is that football, whether you look at kiddie league, little, I don't know, what do you call that? It's the
Pee-wee?
Pee-wee league.
Yeah.
No, but there's some other. What's the name of that league that everybody calls?
Pop Warner,
Pop Warner.
Optimus Club. Where I grew up, it was Optimus Club.
Optimus Prime. That's like a
No,
transformer.
Optimus Club.
Optimus, like the optimists. Like
Yes.
I'm an optimistic person.
Yes, that's what it's called.
Like an optimistic football league. Like-
No, it's some kind of nonprofit organization called Optimus Club.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, well, that's
Now
where-
I've heard of Pop Warner.
Pop Warner, I think, is another one.
That's a huge one. Mm-hmm. Or just Pee Wee. But anyway,
Pee-wee,
again, not the point. Back to I'm semicolon you here. So we're talking about like Little League football up to junior high or middle school, high school, college, pro, etc. Football is a huge, huge deal. The only reason I brought up Tom Landry, I'd never even closed that thought out. There was a quote from Coach Landry, and it said, "Football is to Texas what religion is to a priest." Isn't that funny that Coach would say that?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there's something to it,
Well, and Tom Landry was Catholic, so he would know.
Right. So anyway, I'm not sure how that ties, but anyway, it's a great analogy.
He knew both sides of it. I literally almost fell to the floor. That was so stupid.
But it's important. And so in the age of a pandemic, so you've got to ask the question, what's the impact that no football, like we already know, the State Fair of Texas is not happening.
Yeah,
it should
was-
be happening like now. We should be
Yeah.
kicking it off now or in the next week.
We should do an episode on talk about that.
Yeah, because now you can get, you know what? Here's a little aside. Did you know that you can get a Fletcher's corn dog right now? And I don't know how long it is, but where are they selling it? At like Whataburger or something?
A few fast food. I think there's more than one.
Yeah,
I
they're
read about
selling the
that.
Fletcher's corn dog because they're not selling it at the state fair.
Yeah, and they only sell at the state fair,
Which doesn't
so
make
that's
any
their
sense at
only
all.
opportunity.
That just doesn't make any sense.
I think it's great.
They're
I mean,
so
if I go
good.
work for a month a year and then I'm off for the rest of the year,
I guess
Let's get some corn dogs Uber
should.
Eats over here. Right
yeah, and we'll do an episode on the Fletcher's corny dog.
Oh, I love
That'd be a good
Fletcher's
episode.
corn dog. So good.
My mouth's watering.
I know. I'm really hungry now.
Well, anyway, so we know that because of COVID, the State Fair of Texas is not going forward this year. We also know that because of COVID, you're making it random. So we also know because of COVID, there's a lot of things that have shut down. A lot of businesses have been affected. A lot of schools have been affected going to online. And now we know that football is massively affected. There's a lot that aren't doing it.
Yeah, that's right.
But so my question is, what impact to Texas does that have of not having high school, college, or pro football during the fall? Now we're going to have it. It's pro football is going to like kind of like football in the bubble. It's going to be weird. Like Cowboys and Texans are going to play, but and you know what? You can go. I heard that there was some markup on the Cowboy tickets. They're not selling season tickets. They're selling
about that.
single game tickets, and they mark the price up. How can you do that? I mean,
It's Jerry Jones.
it's COVID.
Yeah,
Is it because of the reduced capacity?
probably.
It's gotta be.
It's got to be.
So there's a premium because you get to go
Right.
and
Right.
spread.
And watch your big screen Jerry Jones TV.
That big screen is awesome.
Yeah.
Man, it's awesome in that stadium.
I'm not going to pay to go see it, though.
Really?
Yeah, I'll watch it here. Why would I do that?
Yeah, you get the big screen.
Yeah, it's
Kick
almost,
back.
it's almost as big as that.
Just kidding.
Perspective wise, it's about the same.
I watch it at home too. I'm not paying that.
If you're sitting up in the stands, that big screen in that stadium is about the same size as like your TV.
Oh
in
my
your
gosh,
living
that thing is awesome.
And you can't avoid it, right?
Yeah.
You want to watch the live action, but
You can't. Yeah, you can't help yourself.
Yeah.
But look at that massive screen.
That's the
Anyway,
difference.
so
just watching TV with an uncomfortable chair.
right. So let's get back to it. Did you know that the impact per game in Austin of a University of Texas Longhorn game is around $63 million per game to the Austin economy?
Whoa, I did not know that.
And I think it's got to be the same for A&M and Baylor and SMU and TCU and all this. It is a huge economic impact for the local economy. But you know what? It's a big impact for the high schools to their local towns too. You think about it. It's the lodging, it's the travel, it's the apparel, it's just all of that. It's the advertising. Believe it or not, at the stadiums, it may be small fries compared to the Cowboys or Texans or UT, but it still generates a lot of income. And if you're not having those games, that's a huge impact.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about that?
I just feel like it's just kind of part of where we're at right now, but
Yeah.
it's also a real bummer.
It is a bummer.
It's a bummer, especially for kids that are like in their senior year, right? If
Right.
this is your last year to play on
Right.
a football team.
So let's talk about practically. So there was an article that came out in LA Times, and it was really good. It was believe it or not, LA, and they're talking about Aledo. Aledo is a school on the outside of Fort Worth, a great big school. I think they're 5A, maybe 6A. And they've won state championships for years and years and years. They're really, really good. Great program. And the LA Times article highlights what and so they're going to move forward, but so when you look at the Texas high school football program, it's broken in 1A up to 6A, and there's 2 divisions per A. And so the 4A, I think you're right, a lot of the 3A, 2A, 1A, and 6-man have all said, we're not playing or limited that greatly. But the 4A went ahead and started first, and then the 5s and 6As are waiting until mid to late September before they start their season.
And why is that?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. There's a huge fear factor on the spread of COVID in the schools, and so many of the bigger schools have opted to delay opening
I see.
until late
Okay.
September. Like September 26th is the opening day for a lot of the face-to-face. They're all
Gotcha.
doing online until then. And a lot of the 4A schools decided, for some reason, I guess since they're smaller, we're going to go ahead and start in mid-August in person-to-person school. And so they did. And so then once they started in-person school, then the football games started as well. Now, there's a huge impact on the actual games, and we've been personally affected. I'm not like, okay, we can't go because the reason is you've got, so if you have a home high school football game, you've got 50% occupancy for your stands as a max. Everybody's got to be masked up. The opposing team's band, dance team, I think they're sending cheer, but they're certainly not sending band and dance teams to the away game. And so you're just limiting greatly who can be in that stadium. So it's the players and the coaches and basically the parents, and then the home team band and the home team dance team and the home team cheerleader, all that. But then that's it. So, like, for example, an Argyle game where Kevin and I live in Argyle, this little town outside of DFW, south of Denton. And, the tickets went like that. I mean.
Yeah, so they're phased in, right? So Sammy is a senior this year,
Yeah.
and she's on drill team, so she's on the field for every home game. And so for parents of students who are participating in the game, whether
Right.
it's football or drill team or whatever,
Or band, yeah.
yeah, those tickets were available on Mondays.
Yeah.
Right? So Kendra got up early,
You get to get it.
got online,
no problem.
got the tickets.
Yeah.
But what you can't do is you can't buy season tickets. Like we've always had season tickets with assigned seats. There's
Yeah.
none of that. So
Yeah.
you got to get in there. You got to get it. And then the day of the game, they opened up the stadium at 6 a.m.
Well, no, to continue that story, for Gen Pop like me, they open up 250 seats on Thursday at noon. By 12:05, those 250 seats were gone.
Right.
Because Amy and I would have gone. I
Yeah.
mean, we love seeing them, but
Yeah.
even with masks and all that, I don't know. There's a little weird feeling about. Oh,
You
do I
know,
really
it was
wanna go?
actually very enjoyable. It
Yeah.
wasn't funky really. It was kind of like just being at a game where it wasn't super crowded, which
Yeah.
never happens at Argyle. It's always jam packed.
Yeah.
You know.
Right.
But, some of the away games that we would go to, Argyle travels really well, but
Yeah.
sometimes you would have some space at some of those games. It kind of felt like that.
Yeah, I see.
And then wearing the mask. But Kendra had to get up there, or someone, and Kendra ended up doing it because she was on her way to school anyway. But you had to go up at 6 a.m. on the morning of the game
Oh.
and, pick your seat, and you had to leave your stadium chairs there.
Oh.
And I was like, why are they doing that? Kendra said, well, they don't want to have this rush of people at the time of the game all crowding up to try to get a seat.
Interesting.
So, I mean, you certainly didn't have to do that. You could have just shown up and got the leftovers. But,
Yeah.
So it was different in that regard,
Right.
too.
Well, it's different for us because we didn't go.
Yeah.
I mean, so then we're live streaming it on a YouTube channel. So the last two, I mean, we played 2 games, and Amy and I have live streamed it on YouTube just so we can watch. I know all these boys. They're all my kids' age, and I know them all, so I enjoy watching them.
Yeah, and then what I heard though was on the live stream, at least for the first game, I heard there was no like music with the drill team when they were performing. So
No,
I don't know.
You're just watching them. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
that was nice.
And the audio that night was really jacked up across
Yeah.
the board.
And then unfortunately, the second one, I mean, I basically had to turn the sound down because you talk about a homer call. It was the other team's broadcasters that were live streaming and it was just like, it was funny because they were just hometown heroes talking about their boys and what scumbags.
Texarkana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was fine. I mean, hey, that's what we do. But
But I guess the other thing is, I think the boys have some kind of covering on their. It's clear, you can't really see it, but I think there is a plastic thing across their face mask, right?
So some choose to do that, some don't.
Oh, so it's optional.
Yeah, because like for example, the LA Times article on Alito, that coach, for example, said, "No, I'm not doing it because there's the risk of them fogging up, and then they lose perspective in the middle of the play or the middle of the game."
What I understood was it wasn't over their eyes, but just over the.
I hope so.
Mouth area.
I hope so. But
So is
I
it the
don't know
coach that opts in or out, or is it the player, individual player?
I don't know the answer to that.
And then
I just know that when helmet comes off, the mask has to go up for the player, no matter what.
yeah, and then for the girls, for the drill team, they don't have to wear a mask when they're dancing. But
Yeah.
if they're not dancing, they have to wear a mask.
Yeah.
Right. So, like they line up at the tunnel, at the beginning of the game or after halftime when the team runs through the tunnel, they line up there. So since they're just kind of standing there, not dancing, they have to wear throw the mask on.
Right.
But at the halftime show, they didn't have the mask on. So
Right.
it's kind of cool. So anyway,
It
it's
is
a little
cool.
weird, but it wasn't.
Well,
It wasn't the same as before, but it wasn't as weird as I thought it would be. Actually,
the whole thing is weird in that you're talking about we're socially distancing. We're trying to minimize spread of coronavirus because we know it's airborne through whatever. And if I get close to you, then if you've got it, there's a good chance I'm going to get it just by breathing the air that you've been exhaling. And for us to think, oh, well, football, no big deal, a high, heavy contact, face to face, and these boys are spitting, sweating, whatever, all over each other. Yeah, there's a good chance that if they've got it, they can spread it. So then what I've heard is the coaches are doing everything they can to isolate the players to be basically as healthy as long as they possibly can so they can keep playing and don't have to shut that player or those players down into quarantine.
yeah,
Isn't it crazy? So crazy.
it's crazy.
And then there are so many like the Pac-12, Pac-10, Pac-12, and there are a bunch of the big college conferences that have already shut down. They've just said we're scrapping the season. We're just not doing it. And so, and then I've been reading all these college campuses are just rampant. I mean, they've got a lot of rampant spread with kids coming back to school and having parties or whatever, and ignoring the face mask stuff. So, I mean, it's still a massive problem. And then we probably are going to see yet a second spike in the fall winter, along with all the flu, and we all come back indoors and we're around each other, and we may get lax with our mask wearing and all. It's a hot mess. Mm-hmm. It's a hot mess.
This is kind of off topic, but I've heard that they're starting to find cases of people getting it for the second time.
I've heard that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Crazy.
And then the question is, did you? You can say, did you really have it the first time or not? Did you get a different strain of it the first time or not? Or did you truly get the thing twice? Mm-hmm. And I didn't know that was anatomically possible for you to get the same thing twice. But anyway, I'm not a infectious control person. So anyway, so back to the impact of football. So it's a major part of Texas, especially in the fall. Think about when you and I came up with this idea. We came up with this idea at a football game, a high school football game.
That's true.
It's kind of part of kind of Texas life. It's part of our culture. It's kind of it's when you see everybody in your local hometown. It's part of what you do. It's fun. You get to see everybody play. The cheerleaders go. The drill team do their thing. I was a band dad. I loved watching my daughter, do the band. I mean, it was just amazing. I mean, we had a blast. You just have a blast, even whether you're in school. And then it's fun because when you think about all the little groups that happen at a high school football game, all the little kids up through basically high school are basically just playing tag and tackle and all kinds of goofy stuff in the way back, Parents could care less. They're like, oh, they're just playing with their friends. Mm-hmm. And then you get all the high school kids that aren't playing in one of the different groups. They're just whatever, hanging out, loving time, just being with each other, alone, separated apart from, underneath the lights, away from parents. Parents, we're all just enjoying visiting with each other, right? And then you get these massive groups of the band, drill team, football players, et cetera, that are doing great things, and it's fun to watch.
Yeah.
Anywho.
I always loved being in like the student section whenever I went to Flower Mound, and I would just be with my buddies, and we would just be goofing off and
so
yelling
fun.
and
so fun.
Yeah, those are always fun. And then all the other kids would there would be a group of kids down at the front row, and they would just be going absolutely insane.
Yeah. You get the kids that actually really care about the action on the field,
Right.
And then you got 90% behind them that just like to be with each other and just goof off.
Yeah, those are always so fun.
Yeah, but what do you think? So I think I'm going to throw out a number for you. I think the economic impact on COVID for high school football in Texas is probably $500 billion.
Wow.
I'm kidding. I just made that up. But it's a big number, right?
No idea.
It's a big number.
It's got to be a big number.
And so there's two impacts. There's an economic impact, but there's also a cultural impact. So, right? Because people like you and me, we just get to the game and we're just goofing around, laughing and mucking it up and whatever. I mean,
I feel like at the high school level, it's cultural.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the bummer factor for the kids.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
And now, especially for the schools that don't get to play, like they've said, we're done. Like a lot of the private schools, a lot of the smaller schools, they're not going to do it. Or if they have a flare up, they're not going to get to play. And they just don't get that opportunity. Maybe it's their senior year and they just don't get to do it.
Yep. And you may have some kids that were just killing it in football and looking forward to, maybe taking it to a new level in their senior year, getting recruited by a college. I mean, that could impact, that could impact their college career. They don't have that exposure.
Those could have been future NFL players.
Right.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. I mean,
So, speaking of NFL or the professional sports in general, how are they making money on these games when there's nobody there?
At this point, it's got to be TV ads.
Do they still get advertising dollars, and is that enough to carry the day?
I think Andrew's onto something. I think the big dollars are the TV contracts, but I don't know that. I heard the local guys on the ticket the other day were talking about ticket sales, and ticket revenue is a huge kind of an undergirding for the financial performance of the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
And so it's almost like the investors watching, and they, I'm in hospital care, and I look at hospital volumes, and I can tell you if a hospital is doing well or not based on the volumes or the throughput of that. Maybe it's the same thing with football. It's my ticket sales are X, therefore you're healthy. Mm-hmm. And if ticket sales are down, or if you have a year of COVID where you can't play and you can only...
just the numbers are huge.
Yeah.
You got to, take Cowboy Stadium, what holds 100,000 people.
Yeah.
They sell it out every game.
They do, for ridiculous amounts per
so
ticket.
If you just take even a low amount of $300 a ticket, which is probably cheap on average, it's like $30 million per game.
Jeez.
Right?
That's huge.
And the Cowboys just rake in tons and tons of cash from all kinds of merchandising, TV ads, because they're the Cowboys.
Yeah, they're losing all that. You don't need to wear, if we're all stuck at home looking at the TV, who cares what you wear?
Yeah.
You be in your pajamas while you're watching the Cowboys play the Steelers or whatever. Who cares?
Right. Yeah. So It's crazy. I mean, the numbers are just mind-boggling in some ways.
I'm curious to see how this is all going to shake out this fall. With, I mean, you and I are passionate about high school football because we still have kids in it, and hopefully we'll get to watch and enjoy a little bit of that. But
did you hear the latest on Dak?
No,
Jerry Jones made a comment. I think it was yesterday or sometime this past week. I think he was on. He wasn't on the ticket. He was on the other one, the Wolf, not the Wolf, but the 105.3.
The Fan.
Yeah, the Fan. Fan. And they were asking him. He said, we think he's going to be here. We want him here. He's the man forever. He said, we just looked at the numbers and we don't know how to predict our business over the next 2 or 3 years due to this pandemic. And, so we're giving him $30 million for this year. But he said, looking at how to even put a number on it, I couldn't come up with a number, is basically what he said. Which I thought was an interesting spin that I had not heard before.
What's the situation with Dak? I'm not doing a sports podcast anymore, so I'm out of.
He's just in a contract.
His
year.
contract was up last year,
Yeah.
and so all through the year they were talking about how they would sign a long-term contract because he is the franchise quarterback, right?
Yeah, so they were between a 4 and a 5 year contract, and I mean it was ridiculous amounts per year they were talking about, and he demanded a 5, and they basically walked away from each other because Cowboys wanted him to have a 4, and Dak wanted a 5, and so they couldn't agree on that.
So now Jerry's blaming it on COVID, basically.
Yeah. I tell you what. Speaking of getting off topic, literally on my bike ride today, I just finished this audio book called Station 11. It's a book about a pandemic that occurs that I'm reading during a pandemic. How do you like that? Except it is grotesque. It's like off the charts. They have this thing called the Georgia flu that comes through and it kills 299 out of 300 people.
The Georgia flu?
That's fictitiously speaking. And so it basically wipes out 99-point-something% of humanity. So you have a collapse. So it goes like the 0.4% of people that survive are like killing each other. They can't do electricity. The internet turns off. Water turns off.
Right.
You're killing deer for food, and you get in packs, and I mean it's the collapse of humanity, and it's so interesting because there's a lot of interesting applications around that. I mean, Jerry may be right. I don't think he's right. I think he's using that as
he's using it as spin.
If we had a pandemic that was significantly more mortal, then that's different.
Right.
Right now, what we're seeing is this is not as mortal as what it certainly could be.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't think we're going to have complete societal collapse.
I don't either. And I don't think the Cowboys are going to be hurting once the games restart. So.
I will tell you, I'm not advocating or endorsing that book, Station 11.
You're not?
Not at all. It's not that good.
It's just not a good book?
No. It's fiction. It's an interesting I really wanted to read because a friend of mine told me, hey, read this book. It's about a pandemic during a pandemic. Isn't that clever? I'm like, yeah, okay, so I'll read it anyway.
Have you read The Andromeda Strain?
No.
It's a Michael Crichton book.
I should.
It came out in the early 70s.
Yeah, no, I remember that. I love Crichton.
I do too.
I just haven't read it. He's so technical.
Oh, yeah, he's one of my favorite authors.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be a good one to read.
Yeah, I should go read that.
Yeah.
I got about 10 more that I'm supposed to read before that, but regardless. Okay, well, hey, boy, we were laser focused today on this football topic. I love it. I love how we get on a topic and we're just laser focused on just seeing it through.
I got hairy legs.
It's just been such a random thing.
Thanks, Kevin, for
Come on, man.
all these Biden comments. What?
I don't
What are you,
know.
political or something?
No, it's just random.
Just kidding.
Random.
Testing is a double-edged sword.
Oh, my. All right.
Yosemite.
How can he butcher Yosemite that bad?
Don't know. Because he's just reading.
Yosemites.
He's just reading. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
What do you call somebody that basically lives in the Yosemite Valley?
I don't know, but that's not even what he was trying to talk about.
Is that not it?
No, he's talking about Yosemite itself.
So, Yosemite.
Yeah, he was supposed to be talking about just
Yosemiteans?
Yosemite, not the people.
I'd like to know what you call somebody that lives down in the Yosemite Valley.
Yosemites, Yosemites.
Yosemite.
No, not that.
It sounds like one of those Old Testament tribes.
It does.
You know,
One of the 12 tribes.
yeah. No, one of their enemies. You know, like, we used to go in and kill the Canaanites and the
Yeah.
Yosemites and the Jezemites and.
Well, if that were the
Yosemites.
case, it probably would have started with a J. Yeah. The Yosemites.
Oh, man.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
All right, we'll wrap it up. Hey, I appreciate everybody listening to us. Any closing thoughts on this fantastic topic we just talked about?
This is major ADD. Yeah.
I thought we were laser locked in. It was fantastic. The impact of coronavirus on high school football.
We
Basically.
covered a lot of ground. It's
Yeah.
a lot of material.
Right.
Yeah. This is like a what's it called, Andrew? When it's a podcast where there's just not a single topic, it's like multiple topics.
Like a Seinfeld episode.
a show about nothing.
I don't know what you mean.
Sometimes there's certain podcasts where it'll be just like, hey, we discussed these topics today. You know,
Right.
join in and listen to us ramble. That
Right.
kind of a style. That's what this felt like.
Well, this is
Smorgasbord.
is nothing like that because I thought we were locked on.
Oh,
So
man.
well played. Well
All
played.
right.
All right. Well, hey, appreciate y'all listening to us.
Yeah, look us up. We're on iTunes, Spotify, and all the other stuff out there. So find us and leave us a review. We really enjoy reading those reviews.
I do.
Yeah, they are very motivating. So, adios.
Adios.